I can imagine no more moving way of opening today's conference than we have just experienced. I'm not a doctor. I don't know how many people, how many men can survive as long as Richard has after having a PSA level such as he had when he started his prostate cancer journey. His telling us that story reinforces the importance of what we in the Foundation do. Graham mentioned that I've been president for a while. It's actually 9 years. It'll be 10 years this time next year. And it's the Richards of this world, or the Richards of New Zealand and those like him, and the majority who are not like him, who fortunately get it discovered earlier, that keep me inspired to lead the Foundation. One of the things that I do in my life now is I am a member of the New Zealand Male Choir. We regularly sing He Honore. When I sing it in future, it'll never be quite the same again. So thank you to Richard and your granddaughters. That's one of those things which, really impacts me personally. The first national conference I attended was in 2008 in Wellington. Would anybody who was present at that conference please stand up? Things have changed since then, haven't they, people? I can't remember how many people we had, but I would guess it was around about 40, might have been 50. And I can tell you it was nothing like the conference that we have today and the day we had yesterday. Nothing like it at all. We also have somebody here that was secretary when I took over as president. And I'd like he and his wife to stand, please. Thank you, Jean, for supporting your husband. Thank you, the two of you, for the absolutely wonderful work you did when we sought to turn the Foundation round. I spoke yesterday of the changes that have occurred in the last 9 years. One of the things that Ian had to deal with when he was secretary was a complaint from Charity Services. It was from people who were unhappy with the way the Foundation had, before Ian and I assumed the roles that we had been treated by the Foundation, particularly on financial matters. I have absolutely no fears of having an investigation now, and Charity Services might just pick us out of the pot and decide to investigate. There might be somebody out there who's not happy with what we're doing, a real or perceived grievance. A complaint can occur at any time. And professionally, I advise organisations who deal with those complaints, and I can tell you that even if they are as pure as the driven snow, it's an unpleasant experience. And poor Ian had to deal with it as secretary. And I tell you that story because we have come an awfully long way since the first conference I attended. I would not have dreamed in my wildest dreams back in 2008 when I attended that first conference that we would be meeting in this venue over 2 days with the number of people that we have had yesterday and the number of people we have today. And I would not have dreamed that we would have the lineup of speakers that we have today and the speakers we had yesterday. I wouldn't have dreamt of having a trades hall out there of those who support the foundation. I would not have dreamed of the list of supporting organisations that support us. The foundation has come an awfully long way. Graham mentioned in introducing me that I'm into advocacy. Next year is an election year. To my knowledge, please put up your hand if you think I'm wrong, we have no politicians, we have no national politicians present today. Anybody think I'm wrong? No. Next year, they'll be here. Before they come next year, I want every one of them to know that we exist and that we demand some attention and some action. I've spoken about that so frequently from this type of podium at conferences that I feel ashamed that we haven't done better. We have currently an opportunity, I hope, of making submissions to a parliamentary select committee in the context of a petition by Chris Andrews. Chris has made a petition, which a number of you will have signed, asking that whenever a man has a blood test ordered, that there should be an automatic PSA test carried out at the same time. That is an interesting proposition. It's one that I don't believe the urologists support, and I think we as a foundation need to be a little bit cautious about supporting it, but it gives us an opportunity to put some information in front of our parliamentarians. After I became aware of Chris's petition, I came across a thesis by a lady who looked at the results of the Gothenburg prostate cancer study, which commenced in 1995. And perhaps the most, for me, significant statement in that 104-page thesis, most of which I didn't understand, was that around about 30% of men who die of prostate cancer could be saved if they were screened. Let's convert that into something which is perhaps a little bit more understandable. Close to a third of men could be saved if their blood was screened for prostate cancer. That's one of the messages we need to convey to our politicians. But that is not in itself enough. Women get free mammograms. Men and women who suffer from breast cancer get support after treatment, including prosthesis, assistance, and other things. Men who go for prostate cancer treatment, the blood test might be paid for, but the rest of it they pay for, with some subsidy from the government, but it's certainly not free. And I can't tell you how frustrating it is for me to know that there are doctors who will say the PSA test is not accurate, I will not order a PSA test. I have yet to come across a doctor who will say, a mammogram is not an accurate test, I will not send a woman for a mammogram. Statistically, the number of false negatives and false positives for mammography and the PSA test are very, very similar. So why don't you hear doctors opposing mammography? Most of the women in this room will remember Women's Lib. a number of men in this room will remember Women's Lib. Women demanded a fair go when I was a teenager. They now get a fair go. It's time men got a similar fair go with prostate cancer. Graham spoke yesterday, and some of you weren't here, so I'm going to repeat it. He went to a rural GP's conference. He conducted a survey. There were only 69 people who completed the survey, but it's, I think, significant. Most of them claimed to be proactive about prostate cancer checking. But 65.2% of them, in round figures 2/3, said they were familiar with the 2015 guidance having been issued, but weren't familiar with its contents. So you have this statement of intent, we will be proactive, but we actually haven't looked to see what the guidance tells us we should damn well be doing. And we know that they're not doing it. I think I mentioned last year that in 2016, the Health and Disability Commissioner produced a report as a result of a complaint that a man had not been tested when he asked to be tested. And the Commissioner has a retired GP as his advisor on medical issues. And that person told him that, the PSA test is controversial. And so the complaint was dismissed. We wrote to the Health and Disability Commissioner, politely suggesting that he might like to pass on to his medical advisor a copy of the attached 2015 guidance, because he was patently incorrect in the advice that he had given to the Commissioner. In 2017, there was another complaint. Oh, lo and behold, my advisor now tells me, well, he didn't put it that way, but he said, the GP had failed to follow the 2015 guidance, and the GP got a slap over the wrist with a damp bus ticket, or its equivalent. I tell you that story partly because I'm so damn frustrated, but partly to tell you that what we do does make a difference, albeit not enough of a difference. My challenge to all of you is to commit yourselves next year to making sure that you and the members of your support groups meet with every single parliamentary candidate and tell them the facts. Just about the only thing you need to do is to download a copy of the 2015 guidance and give it to them and saying, we want you as a candidate to commit to ensure that this guidance is followed. There are some other things, of course, like support for people, like accessibility to treatment. So I go back to 2008. In a sense, we have not moved forward. In 2008, we hadn't yet had the parliamentary investigation, which took place the following year. There were committee hearings in 2009, and they produced a report in 2011, and that resulted eventually in the 2015 guidance. So it shows that advocacy can achieve things to improve the lot of men with prostate cancer. But we have not got to the point we need to get to, which is to ensure that men have not only the testing, but also access to treatment and support after treatment. I doubt that there is a single person in this room who belongs to a support group has not heard at support group meetings of the difficulties some men have, for instance, in addressing continence and sexuality issues following treatment. We get no support from government. It's time we did. The bell's gone. I've said enough. But not enough. I just hope I've got the message across.